Is it live? Good afternoon, everybody. A little bit of good news to begin this class. Because of the shortcomings of using YouTube and Hangouts, we are experimenting with Zoom video now, and I think very likely this Wednesday we'll begin with conducting classes using Zoom. So please download the app in your phone or on your computer so that on Wednesday we can start using Zoom for all classes except for Miss Bobby's Hangout sessions, okay? All right. A quick recap, A quick recap. Now, recap is an abbreviation for the word recapitulate. Recapitulate, correct. So we are going to recap some of the things that we learned last class.
Go to the red hot center of what's important in somebody's life, because that's where you get the truth.
All right. So we learned 3 figures of speech last week. One is simile. A simile compares 2 distinct things using word like or as. Okay. The example on page 3 goes, the teams fought like cats and dogs on the pitch. Despite the stress of business failure, he's as cool as cucumber. Now those are similes. Okay. Then we looked at metaphor, and we said that metaphor also compares 2 things, but it goes beyond. Okay, it is saying one thing is describing one thing in terms of the other thing. Okay, for example, a mighty fortress is our God. Okay, out brief candle, where life is likened to a candle. All the world's a stage. The world is likened to a stage. Now that's metaphorical use. Okay. And the third one that we learned last week was personification. Okay. Where something that has no life is given human characteristic. For example, lightning danced across the sky. The wind of course is inanimate. The wind howled. The stars winked. Okay, so these were the 3 figures of speech we touched on last week. Today we're going to do 2 more, right? Onomatopoeia, page 11. Page 11. Okay, onomatopoeia. All right, and then the last one, or the 5th one, will be alliteration. But before we go to the 2 new figures of speech today, let's just do some exercises as we recapitulate what we learned last week. I will be emailing you the exercises because I think Mr. Han has just sent this to you by email. If you can just look at page 4 of your email PDF file, you will see this exercise. Exercise 1. Exercise 1 is on simile on page 4. Is it up? Okay. The Eagle is a poem by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Okay, let me read this poem. He claps the crack with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands, ringed with the azure world he stands. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls, he watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. So now you have to attempt this question. What is particularly effective about the simile in the last line of the second stanza? Like a thunderbolt, and like a thunderbolt he falls. So what do you think is particularly effective in the way the poet has used this simile? Like a thunderbolt. Okay? And then the question 2 in this exercise, let me read it for you. This is taken from the Cambridge Songs of Stories of Ourselves. All right, the storybook that we have, Cambridge Stories of Ourselves, The Moving Finger by Edith Wharton. And you have these lines in that story. We had watched him pitted against one stupid obstacle after another. Ill health, poverty, misunderstanding, and worst of all, for a man of his texture, his first wife's soft, insidious egotism. We had seen him sinking under the leaden embrace of her affection, like a swimmer in a drowning clutch. All right? Now, on page 5, you see the question. Describe the special effect this simile, like a swimmer in a drowning clutch, conjures in the mind of a reader. Describe the special effect this simile conjures in the mind of the reader, like a swimmer in a drowning clutch. Okay? So all these exercises, question 1 and 2, will test your ability to articulate your feelings about the writer's purpose or intention in writing like this. Okay? Now the third question is taken from your exam revision pack. Wild ant pack. Leering, sneering, peering ant pack. We would be enjoying a friendly fight or just sitting doing nothing when she would pounce on us like a cat, and savage retribution would follow. Now select a simile from the above descriptions and explain how the writer has created effects by using this simile. Okay? So what do you think is the simile? Right? Obviously, there's only one simile in this exercise, in this question 3. Pounce on us like a cat. So explain how the writer has created effects by using this language. Okay? Now we move on to metaphor. Now this is the shortcoming of YouTube. Okay, it's very much lecture style, and I can't see your feedback. I can't get your questions. All right, and this is why it is quite important for us to move to Zoom. But anyway, let's do with what we have at the moment. Okay. So metaphor, I have also done several questions here, put up several questions here on page 7. If you have got the file with you, page 7, exercise 2, you have this question. Identify each of the following quotations as literal or figurative, meaning metaphorical, because we are dealing with metaphors here. And if it's a metaphor, explain what is being compared to what, and comment on its appropriateness of the comparison. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Okay? Now this is obviously a metaphor, but explain the metaphors and its meaning and the appropriateness of the comparison. Okay? Then in question 2 of exercise 2, we have this next metaphor. The pen is mightier than the sword. Alright? The pen is mightier than the sword. So what's the meaning of this metaphor? Can you explain? Alright? Then the third question, rice is nourished by water, earth and wind, and transforms into gold. Explain again the metaphor here. And how has the writer sought to bring out the importance of rice through the use of this metaphor? And then from your exam papers, we have this other metaphor in question 4. Aunt Peck had eyes on sticks. Obviously, eyes cannot be roving on sticks, but here we have it. Aunt Peck had eyes on sticks. How she saw us, we never knew. One moment she wasn't there, the next she was on top of us. She was a wizened, tiny woman of great muscular strength and energy, and her mouth was like an upside-down new moon without the hint of a smile. Alright? You would probably have noticed that there is also a simile here, and if you want to do this extra exercise, go ahead. Her mouth was like an upside-down moon. Explain that. But here, what I want you to explain specifically is Aunt Peck had eyes on sticks. Explain the metaphor used here. Okay? Alright. The third figure of speech is personification. And then on page 10, you see the exercise that I've prepared for you. Exercise 3. And a quick reminder about what personification is, just above exercise 3. Personification is a figure of speech which gives or endows or invests human characteristics in non-human objects, animals, and ideas. So in this exercise, identify the personification, explain what is the effect of personification in each of the following quotations. Alright, this quotation is taken from, the first quotation is taken, lifted from Edward T. Hall's writings. Time talks. It speaks more plainly than words. It can shout about the truth where words lie. Time is being treated here as if it's a human being, because only a human being can talk. Time talks. So what's the effect of this personification? Alright, there's an exercise for you. And question 2, we have this other personification. Rice demands the sweat of man. In return, the earth gives birth to a grain that is valuable and precious to human life. Can the earth give birth? So this is the personification of earth. The earth gives birth to a grain that is valuable and precious to human life. Think about this. And I want you to spend some time, after this class, working through this, okay? And then we'll find some suitable time at the earliest opportunity to discuss what you have written, okay? And how you have interpreted the purpose of the writer in these different questions here, on these different figures of speech. And on page 10, question 3, we have this very famous poem by John Donne. Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful. for thou art not so. In these two lines, we see the personification of death, as if death is a human being. Because only a human being have these characteristics of being proud and arrogant. Okay? So, explain the meaning of this personification here. Is that okay? We now go on. Now, of course, you can type your questions, but somehow my YouTube just isn't working. But doesn't matter. I can't see your live chat if you have any question. And even if I see your live chat, I can't be reading 15 of your statements, or questions in this live chat. So this is why I think we need to look for something more user-friendly and more friendly for our class purposes, okay? And so we're going to experiment with Zoom. Now, the fourth figure of speech is onomatopoeia. It helps provide a direct and effective association because the word's pronunciation imitates the sounds. So, onomatopoeia is a literary device that stimulates your auditory sense and create rich soundscapes. For example, here, there was a thunderous clatter of dustbins as they cascaded down the staircase. Somewhere in the distance, the wolves howled, and from the abandoned barns, the owls hooted. Okay? So we have three onomatopoeic words here. Clatter, the sound of dustbins falling down the staircase. Clatter. Alright? So it mimics the loud and strident sounds of metal striking the ground. Then the second onomatopoeic word is howled, the sound made by the wolves. It has two syllables and a long ow sound, adding a haunting and prolonged effect to the cries of the wolves. Howled. Okay, howled. Okay. The third onomatopoeic word in the passage is hooted. The owl hoots. So, the word hooted mimics the characteristic cry of an owl. So, in the English language, we get a great variety of words that are onomatopoeic. Okay? And some of these are like zip your pants. You know, as you zip your pants, you kind of like hear that zip sound. Your phone pings when a WhatsApp message comes in, right? So if you leave your sound on when a WhatsApp message comes in, you get this notification in the form of a ping. All right, your phone pings, and so that's an onomatopoeic word. Fresh hot coffee drips from the Nestle coffee oops, wrong spelling there. Coffee maker. Nestle coffee maker. Please correct that. Fresh coffee drips, drip, drip, drip. That's onomatopoeic. Okay? Now I have prepared a couple of questions for you as well. Alright? On page 12. Now this file will be sent to you in your email. Then you print it out and try and do it yourself, okay? It wouldn't be possible for you to copy from your screen because I'm going too fast. And this is more like a lecture rather than the class, the normal classwork. All right. Onomatopoeia, again in brief, refers to words that phonetically mimic the sounds of things it represents. All right. For example, words that describe the noises animals make are onomatopoeic. Okay, wrong spelling again. Not poetic, poeic, P-O-E-I-C. That's a typing error that I overlooked. A horse neigh. Neighing, the word neigh mimics the horse's, the noise made by the horse. A dog's bark, a pig's oink, or a cow's moo. These are onomatopoeic words. So in this exercise, I want you to select the onomatopoeic words from these descriptions and explain how the writer has created effects by using this language. Now I've looked through your past year papers and I've picked this one. And there are lots more. When we find the time, we'll do them. But this is one that I've picked from June 2010. Suddenly, there was a squeal of bricks and an almighty bang exploded in the street outside. So, the selected words, onomatopoeic words here are squeal of bricks and an almighty bang. Can you explain how the writer has sought to create effects by using these onomatopoeic words? Can you explain? Now, why am I making you go through this exercise? Your textbooks do not carry these exercises, okay? And it's important for you to do these exercises because whether it's your O-level English or your IGCSE first language English, there will be several questions related to this where you are asked to explain the effects created by the writer. Okay? Alright. And the next question, you select the onomatopoeic word from the description underneath and explain again how the writer has created effects using this language. Again, this is from one of your past year papers. Far away came the sharp clink of a boot striking upon stone. Then another, and yet another, coming nearer and nearer. Sharp clink of a boot striking upon a stone. The word clink is an onomatopoeic word, the sound of a boot striking upon a stone. So explain that. All right. The fifth figure of speech that I want to bring to your attention is alliteration. There are several more, but let's just deal with these five in these first two classes. Alliteration is a figure of speech that arranges words beginning with the same sounds close together to create powerful and pleasing impressions. Some alliterations, such as those that I've put on the screen, have become popular cliches. For example, wild and woolly. This alliteration of words simply means very wild, without order or control. The next one is footloose and fancy free. You may have heard some of these before, okay? Perhaps you didn't bother about the meaning. This is the time to pick up and look through your dictionary, and perhaps you can even Google and look for, if you cannot find it in your dictionary, you can Google and try and discover the meanings of these alliterations. Okay? First and foremost simply means having to deal with it first because it is also the most important. First and foremost. First to be dealt with and most important. penny wise, pound foolish. That, you often hear this, right? When people are very careful with their money and don't simply spend, yeah. But then on other occasions, they foolishly waste and squander their money. Okay, that is what penny wise, pound foolish means. You are thrifty with small sums. Oh, I missed out the other line. Thrifty with small sums, but foolishly squander away large sums. You are careful with small sums, but you are wasteful with large sums. Yeah, foolishly squander away large sums. Now, all these I've just typed them over the weekend, and so this is the first draft, and we have already identified several typo errors, which please correct it on your printouts. If you are printing it out, please correct it. But I will correct it on mine as well. The next one is sink or swim. Often, like for example, the doctors in our hospitals today may tell the patients, don't worry, we'll sink or swim together in this COVID-19 crisis. Okay? It simply means to fail or succeed together. Or in some instances it can mean, I will attempt this task. Yeah? I will swim or sink with this task. In other words, you will fail or succeed entirely through your own effort. Okay? All right. And the final alliteration here that I want to bring to you is dead as a doornail. All right? Dead as a doornail. It simply means utterly dead. Yeah? If you have read Charles Dickens' novel Oliver Twist, you would come across this expression, dead as a doornail. Now I have this exercise for you. It is important that we learn some of these words and phrases, and when we have to write, whether in your letters or in your essays or in your articles for magazines, it is a good thing to sprinkle some of these expressions in your essays and so on, in your writing tasks. Yeah, and so learn how to make complete sentences from the examples of alliteration given above. So on page 15 we have this exercise. I want you to write complete sentences for every one of these alliterations. Wild and woolly, footloose and fancy free, first and foremost. Yes, that's right. Penny wise, pound foolish, sink or swim, dead as a doornail. Okay, and I hope the MCO will not last very much longer, and you can come back to class, and then we can go through some of these exercises together. Okay. Now, something is wrong with my phone, and I can't download the YouTube, so I can't see any of your questions on live chat. If you have any, keep them for another day. Okay? So, this is all for today. Bye-bye.